First contact. The dense jungle of Novaterra stretched as far as the eye could see, a tapestry of emerald and azure that seemed to pulse with alien life. Jack Hawthorne wiped the sweat from his brow, his weathered features set in a grimace of concentration as he hacked through the underbrush with his vibro-machete. The ex-soldier turned frontier scout had seen his fair share of alien worlds, but Novaterra was something else entirely. "Command, this is Hawthorne," he spoke into his comm unit, his voice gruff from disuse. Day 47 of exploration. Still no sign of intelligent life, but the flora and fauna continued to surprise me. Over. A burst of static answered him before a crisp voice replied, "Copy that, Hawthorne. Keep pushing west. Your readings show some interesting energy signatures about 10 clicks ahead. Command out." Jack grunted an acknowledgement and pressed on. The air was thick with humidity, carrying the sweet scent of alien blossoms and the earthy musk of decay. Every step was a challenge, the ground beneath his feet a treacherous mix of roots and soggy soil. But Jack was used to adversity. His years in the Terran Defense Force had hardened him, prepared him for the rigors of frontier life. As he pushed deeper into the jungle, Jack's mind wandered to the reason he'd taken this assignment. After the war, after losing so many comrades, he couldn't bear to return to the sterile confines of Earth's megacities. Out here, among the stars, he could lose himself in the wonder of discovery, could forget the nightmares that still plagued him. A sudden rustle in the canopy above snapped Jack back to alertness. He froze, his hand instinctively moving to the pulse rifle slung across his back. Years of combat experience had honed his senses, and right now, every instinct screamed danger. The jungle fell silent, an unnatural hush descending like a shroud. Jack's eyes darted from shadow to shadow, searching for any sign of movement. Then he saw it, a flash of iridescent scales, a sinuous shape slithering through the branches overhead. "Oh hell," Jack muttered, slowly backing away. He'd encountered these serpentine predators before, massive constrictors that could crush a man in seconds. But as he retreated, his boot caught on a root, sending him stumbling backward. The creature struck with lightning speed, its massive coils descending from the canopy. Jack rolled, narrowly avoiding its grasp, and came up firing. The pulse rifle spat blue energy, scorching the creature's scales. It recoiled with a shriek of pain and fury, rearing up to strike again. But before it could attack, a blur of motion erupted from the underbrush. Jack watched in stunned amazement as a figure leaped between him and the creature, brandishing a wickedly curved blade that gleamed with an otherworldly light. The newcomer moved with inhuman grace, dodging the serpent's strikes and landing blow after blow. In a matter of seconds, the predator lay dead, its head nearly severed from its body. As the dust settled, Jack found himself face to face with his unlikely savior. His jaw dropped as he took in the sight before him. Standing tall and proud was a woman. No, not a woman, an alien, with skin the color of twilight and hair like spun silver. Her life form was adorned with intricate tattoos and minimal armor that seemed to be made of some kind of living metal. But what struck Jack most were her eyes, cat-like pupils set in irises of molten gold, regarding him with a mixture of curiosity and wariness. For a long moment, neither moved. Then, slowly, the alien warrior raised her blade, its edge still dripping with the serpent's fluorescent blood. Her voice, when she spoke, was melodic yet filled with steel. "Who are you, stranger? And why do you trespass in the sacred hunting grounds of the Zarquin?" Jack's mind raced. First contact. After weeks of solitude, he was face to face with an intelligent alien species, and judging by the way she had dispatched that predator, a highly advanced one at that, he slowly raised his hands, showing he meant no harm. "My name is Jack Hawthorne," he said, keeping his voice calm and steady. "I'm an explorer from Earth. We didn't know these were sacred grounds. I mean you and your people no harm." The warrior's eyes narrowed, her grip on her weapon tightening. "Earth? You are one of the sky people then, the ones who have been encroaching on our world. Jack's heart sank. Of course, the survey teams that had come before him must have made contact, and apparently it hadn't gone well. He needed to tread carefully. We're peaceful explorers, he explained. We're just trying to learn about your world, your people. If we've offended you, it wasn't intentional. The alien seemed to consider his words, her stance relaxing slightly. But before she could respond, a distant roar echoed through the jungle, causing both of them to tense. Groknar, the warrior hissed, her eyes widening in alarm. We must move. Now. Jack didn't need to be told twice. The fear in her voice was enough to convince him that whatever was coming, it was bad news for both of them. Without a word, they both took off running, crashing through the underbrush. As they fled, Jack couldn't help but marvel at the alien's speed and agility. She moved through the dense jungle as if it were an open plain, leaping over obstacles and ducking under low-hanging vines with fluid grace. The roar came again, closer this time, accompanied by the sound of splintering wood. Whatever was chasing them was big, and it was gaining ground fast. Suddenly, the warrior grabbed Jack's arm, pulling him to a stop. There, she said, pointing to a narrow crevice in a nearby rock face. We can hide there. They squeezed into the tight space just as a massive shape burst through the trees behind them. Jack caught a glimpse of armored hide, razor-sharp claws, and rows of gleaming teeth before the creature thundered past their hiding spot. For several tense minutes, they remained silent, pressed close together in the confined space. Jack could feel the alien's heart racing, her breath coming in quick, shallow gasps. Despite the danger, he couldn't help but be acutely aware of her proximity, the strange yet alluring scent of her skin. When the sounds of the predator had faded into the distance, the warrior finally spoke. I am Zara, she said, her golden eyes meeting his. And it seems, Jack Hawthorne of Earth, that fate has thrust us together in interesting times. Jack nodded, a wry smile tugging at his lips. That's one way of putting it. So, what now? I get the feeling your people aren't too fond of us sky people. Zara's expression grew serious. No, they are not. But neither can we ignore the threats that stalk our lands. Perhaps there is a way we can help each other. As they cautiously emerged from their hiding place, Jack knew that his mission had just become far more complicated and far more interesting than he could have ever imagined. The jungle of Novaterra stretched out before them, full of danger and possibility. And at his side stood Zara, an alien warrior who had just saved his life and might hold the key to unlocking the mysteries of this strange new world. Little did either of them know that their chance encounter would set in motion a chain of events that would change the fate of both their peoples forever. Worlds collide. The twin suns of Novaterra cast an otherworldly glow across the landscape as Jack and Zara made their way through the dense undergrowth. The jungle seemed to pulse with an eerie bioluminescence, casting shadows that danced and shifted with each step. So, these quantum crystals you mentioned, Jack began, his voice hushed to avoid attracting unwanted attention. They're the reason your people are so advanced. Zara's golden eyes flickered in the dim light as she turned to face him. They are the lifeblood of our civilization, yes, but they are also a curse. Jack raised an eyebrow, intrigued. How so? The crystals grant us great power, but they are finite. As our population grows, so does the demand. It has led to conflict among our tribes. As they pushed on, Jack couldn't help but marvel at the alien beauty before him. Zara moved with a fluid grace that seemed almost supernatural, her twilight skin shimmering with intricate, glowing tattoos that pulsed in time with her heartbeat. Suddenly, Zara held up a hand, signaling for silence. In the distance, a faint humming could be heard, growing louder with each passing second. Sky thief, Zara hissed, her eyes narrowing. One of your people's machines. We must hide. Before Jack could protest, she grabbed his arm and pulled him into a hollow tree trunk. The space was tight, forcing them close together. Jack could feel the warmth of Zora's body, smell the exotic, intoxicating scent of her skin. The humming grew to a crescendo as a sleek, metallic shape passed overhead. Jack recognized it as a Terran survey drone, likely searching for the very crystals Zora had mentioned. "Your people grow bolder," Zora whispered, her breath hot against his ear. "Soon there will be war." Jack felt a pang of guilt. He had come to Nova Terra as an explorer, but it seemed his people's actions were causing more harm than good. As the drone's sound faded, they emerged from their hiding spot. Jack turned to Zora, determination etched on his face. "I want to help, Zora. There has to be a way for our peoples to coexist." Zora studied him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then, to Jack's surprise, she reached out and touched his face, her fingers tracing the line of his jaw. "Perhaps," she said softly, "you are not like the others. Come, there is something I must show you." They traveled for hours, the jungle growing denser and more treacherous with each step. Strange creatures called out in the darkness, their cries unlike anything Jack had ever heard. Finally, they reached the base of a massive cliff face, its surface covered in glowing, alien script. "The ancestral archives," Zora explained, reverence in her voice. "Here, the history of my people is recorded, and here, Jack Hawthorne, lies the key to saving both our worlds." As they approached, the glyphs began to shift and change, responding to Zora's presence. A hidden doorway materialized, sliding open with a soft hiss. Inside, Jack's jaw dropped in awe. The cavern was vast, its walls lined with pulsing crystals that bathed everything in a soft blue light. At the center stood a colossal structure, part machine, part organic matter, that seemed to defy the laws of physics. "The Nexus," Zora said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It is said that this device can harness the power of the quantum crystals to reshape reality itself. But its power is too great for any one person, or species, to control." Jack's mind raced with the implications. "Is this why your people have remained hidden? To protect this?" Zora nodded, her expression grave. "For millennia, we have been its guardians. But now, with your people's arrival, everything has changed. The balance is shifting, and the Nexus grows unstable." As if on cue, the structure pulsed, sending out a wave of energy that made Jack's hair stand on end. The cavern trembled, dust and small rocks raining down from above. "It's destabilizing," Zora said, alarm clear in her voice. "We don't have much time." Jack's military training kicked in. "What can we do?" Zora turned to him, her golden eyes blazing with intensity. "The Nexus requires a perfect balance of energies to remain stable. For centuries, my people have provided that balance. But now—" She trailed off, and Jack suddenly understood. "You need an outsider, someone different." Zora nodded. "Yes, but it is dangerous. The process could kill you, or worse." Jack looked at the pulsing Nexus, then back at Zora. In her eyes, he saw not just concern, but something deeper, a connection that transcended their differences. "I'll do it," he said without hesitation. "Tell me what I need to do." Zora's eyes widened in surprise, then softened with gratitude. "You are brave, Jack Hawthorne, perhaps braver than you know." She led him to a circular platform at the base of the Nexus. As Jack stepped onto it, he felt a tingling sensation spread through his body. "Focus your mind," Zora instructed, her voice taking on a ritual cadence. "Let the energy flow through you. Do not resist." Jack closed his eyes, trying to clear his mind. He felt a surge of power, unlike anything he had ever experienced. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. Suddenly, he was no longer in the cavern. He saw flashes of other worlds, other realities. He saw the history of Zora's people, their triumphs and struggles. And he saw possible futures, some filled with wonder and cooperation, others with war and devastation. Through it all, he felt Zora's presence, anchoring him to reality. Her mind touched his, and in that moment, they shared a connection deeper than words could express. With a gasp, Jack's eyes flew open. He was back in the cavern, the nexus now pulsing with a steady, harmonious rhythm. Zara rushed to his side, catching him as his legs gave out. "You did it," she said, awe in her voice. "The nexus is stable." As Jack looked into her eyes, he knew that everything had changed. He had glimpsed the vastness of the universe and the interconnectedness of all things. And in Zara, he had found something he never expected, a kindred spirit from across the stars. "What happens now?" he asked, his voice hoarse. Zara helped him to his feet, a small smile playing on her lips. "Now, Jack Hawthorne, we change the fate of two worlds." As they left the cavern, the first light of dawn was breaking over the horizon. A new day was dawning on Nova Terra, and with it, the promise of a future where humans and Zarquin might stand together as allies and friends. But as Jack and Zara stepped out into the light, neither of them could shake the feeling that their greatest challenges and greatest adventures still lay ahead. Quantum entanglement. The iridescent mists of the Nova Terran dawn swirled around Jack and Zara as they emerged from the ancestral archives. The jungle pulsed with an otherworldly energy, as if the entire ecosystem had been transformed by their actions within the Nexus. "I can feel it," Jack murmured, flexing his fingers. Tiny arcs of blue electricity danced between them. "It's like I'm connected to everything." Zara nodded, her luminous eyes studying him with a mixture of fascination and concern. "The Nexus has changed you, Jack. You are now quantum entangled with Nova Terra itself." Before Jack could respond, a piercing shriek split the air. They turned to see a massive shape descending from the canopy, a creature that looked like a cross between a pterodactyl and a jellyfish, its translucent wings refracting the morning light into dazzling prisms. "Sky Leviathan," Zara breathed, reaching for her weapon. But Jack held up a hand, a strange calm washing over him. As the creature approached, Jack closed his eyes, focusing on the new energy thrumming through his veins. To his amazement, he could sense the Sky Leviathan's life force, its intentions, its very essence. With a gentle mental nudge, he redirected its path. The massive being banked sharply, soaring over their heads with a mournful cry before disappearing into the misty horizon. Zara stared at him, open-mouthed. "By the first ones, Jack. How did you?" "I don't know," he replied, equally stunned. "It's like I could see the quantum threads connecting us all. I just tweaked them a little." A slow smile spread across Zora's face. "Do you realize what this means? With your newfound abilities, we might actually have a chance at brokering peace between our peoples." Their moment of triumph was short-lived. A distant rumble shook the ground, followed by the unmistakable whine of Terran engines. "Dropships," Jack growled, his military instincts kicking in. "Sounds like a full invasion force." Zara's expression hardened. "Then we have no time to lose. We must reach the Grand Council and convince them to unite against this threat." As they set off through the jungle, Jack marveled at how drastically his mission had changed. He'd come to Nova Terra as a simple scout and now found himself at the center of an interstellar conflict, wielding powers he barely understood. They traveled for hours, pushing their bodies to the limit. Jack's newfound connection to the planet proved invaluable, allowing them to navigate treacherous terrain and avoid dangerous wildlife with uncanny precision. As they paused to rest by a shimmering waterfall, Zara turned to Jack, her expression serious. "There's something you should know," she said, her voice barely audible over the rushing water. "The reason I was in those hunting grounds when we met, I'm an outcast among my people." Jack raised an eyebrow, encouraging her to continue. "I advocated for open communication with your kind," she explained, a hint of bitterness in her tone. "The council saw it as treason. They stripped me of my rank and banished me to the outer territories." Jack felt a surge of admiration for her courage. He reached out, taking her hand in his. The contact sent a jolt of energy through them both, their quantum entanglement intensifying the connection. "We'll change their minds," he said with conviction. "Together." Zora's eyes softened, and for a moment, it seemed as if she might say more. But a sudden explosion in the distance shattered the moment. They crested a hill to find a horrifying sight. A Terran battlecruiser hovered above a Zarquin settlement, its weapons reducing ancient structures to rubble. On the ground, armored human soldiers clashed with Zarquin warriors in a chaotic melee. No, Jack whispered, his heart sinking. This was everything he'd hoped to prevent. Zora's face was a mask of fury and grief. We're too late. But as they watched the battle unfold, Jack felt a surge of determination. His quantum senses expanded, taking in the ebb and flow of the conflict, and in that moment he saw a path forward. "Not yet, we're not," he said, his voice ringing with newfound authority. "Zora, I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" She met his gaze, and in her eyes he saw a reflection of his own resolve. "Always," she replied without hesitation. Jack took a deep breath, then stretched out his hands. He focused on the quantum threads connecting every being on the battlefield, human, Zarquin, and even the planet itself. With a mixture of instinct and sheer will, he began to weave those threads together. A wave of energy pulsed outward from his body, washing over the combatants. Suddenly, every person on the battlefield froze, their weapons falling from nerveless fingers. In that moment of perfect stillness, Jack projected his thoughts, amplified by the power of the Nexus. "Enough. Look around you. See the destruction you've wrought, the lives you've taken. Is this truly what either side wants? Humans, you came here seeking knowledge and resources. Zarquin, you fought to protect your home. But there is a better way, a way where both our peoples can thrive together." As Jack's influence faded, the combatants looked around in confusion. Many dropped their weapons entirely, the senselessness of the conflict finally dawning on them. Zora stepped forward, her voice ringing out clear and strong. "My people, honored council, the prophecies speak of a time when the stars would align and a bridge between worlds would be forged. That time is now." A murmur ran through the crowd as Zarquin and humans alike turned to face them. Jack could feel the shift in the quantum field, a ripple of possibility that could reshape the future of both species. But before either side could respond, a blinding light erupted from the center of the battlefield. As it faded, a figure stepped forward, a being of pure energy, its form constantly shifting between human and Zarquin appearances. "Well done, children of two worlds," the entity spoke, its voice resonating on multiple frequencies. "You have passed the first test, but your journey, your true journey, is only beginning." Jack and Zara exchanged a look of awe and trepidation. Whatever they had set in motion by stabilizing the Nexus, it was clear that the consequences would reach far beyond Nova Terra. As the entity began to explain the true nature of the conflict, a cosmic game played out across multiple realities. Jack felt Zora's hand slip into his. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. And so, on a battlefield that had nearly seen the end of two civilizations, a new chapter in the history of the universe began to unfold. Cosmic convergence. The entity's revelation sent shockwaves through both the human and Zarquin forces. As its form shifted and pulsed with otherworldly energy, Jack felt the quantum threads of reality stretching to their limits. "I am Nexus Prime," the being intoned, its voice resonating on frequencies beyond normal hearing. "Guardian of the cosmic weave. Your conflict is but a thread in a tapestry spanning countless realities." Zara stepped forward, her bioluminescent markings glowing with intensity. "Great One, what test do you speak of? Why have our peoples been brought into this cosmic game?" Nexus Prime's form coalesced into a swirling vortex of stars and nebulae. "The universe seeks balance, child of Nova Terra. Humanity's drive to explore and the Zarquin's connection to the quantum realm. These forces must be united to face the coming void." Jack's mind reeled at the implications. The void? What are we up against? An ancient entropy, Nexus Prime explained, projecting images of entire galaxies being consumed by darkness. It devours realities, leaving nothing in its wake. Only by combining your unique strengths can you hope to stand against it. As if to punctuate the gravity of the situation, the sky above them suddenly fractured. Reality itself seemed to crack, revealing glimpses of other worlds, other versions of Novaterra and Earth, locked in various states of conflict or cooperation. The boundaries between realities are weakening, Nexus Prime warned. You must act swiftly to prevent total collapse. A Terran general stepped forward, his face pale. How can we possibly fight something that threatens the entire multiverse? Zara's eyes lit up with sudden understanding. The ancestral archives, the knowledge contained within, could be the key. Jack nodded, feeling the quantum energy surging through him. And with my connection to the Nexus, we might be able to apply that knowledge across realities. Nexus Prime's form shimmered with approval. Yes, but the journey will be perilous. You must traverse the quantum labyrinth, a nexus point where all realities converge. There, you will find the tools needed to combat the void. As the entity spoke, the fractured sky began to coalesce into a swirling portal of impossible geometries and shifting colors. The entrance to the labyrinth, Nexus Prime explained. But be warned, the very fabric of space-time is unstable within. One misstep could erase you from existence. Jack turned to the assembled forces, his voice carrying the weight of command. I know we've been enemies, but now we face a threat greater than any of us could have imagined. Who will join us in this fight for all reality? A moment of tense silence followed, broken by a Zarquin elder stepping forward. The prophecies speak of this day. We will stand with you. The Terran general nodded grimly. Earth has never backed down from a fight. You have our support. As volunteers from both sides came forward, Jack felt a swell of hope. He turned to Zara, seeing his own determination mirrored in her eyes. Ready for another adventure? He asked with a grin. Zara's lips curved into a smile that sent his heart racing. Always my quantum-touched warrior. With a final nod to Nexus Prime, they led their unlikely alliance into the pulsing maw of the quantum labyrinth. As they crossed the threshold, reality itself seemed to bend and warp around them. They found themselves in a space that defied description. Corridors of pure energy intersected with floating islands of matter from various realities. Gravity shifted unpredictably, and time flowed in strange eddies and currents. Stay close, Jack called out, using his quantum senses to navigate the chaotic landscape. And whatever you do, don't touch anything that looks out of place. As they progressed deeper into the labyrinth, they encountered echoes of other realities, glimpses of paths not taken and futures yet to unfold. In one crystalline chamber, they saw versions of themselves locked in mortal combat. In another, humans and Zarquin had achieved a utopian alliance that spanned galaxies. It's beautiful, Zara whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. And terrifying. Suddenly, a keening wail echoed through the labyrinth. The walls around them began to darken, tendrils of void seeping through cracks in reality. It's here, Jack realized with growing horror. The void has breached the labyrinth. As panic threatened to overtake their group, Zara's voice rang out clear and strong. Remember why we're here. Focus on the connections between us, not the chaos around us. Taking her lead, Jack reached out with his quantum senses, linking the minds and hearts of their diverse team. Human and Zarquin, soldier and scientist, their differences faded away as they united against the encroaching darkness. Together, they pushed forward, their combined will creating a bubble of stability in the chaos of the labyrinth. As they reached the central chamber, they found what they had been seeking, the Cosmic Forge, a device of incomprehensible power capable of rewriting the very laws of reality. But before they could claim their prize, a massive tendril of void crashed through the chamber walls. It lashed out, seeking to consume everything in its path. Without hesitation, Jack threw himself in front of the group, channeling every ounce of his quantum energy into a shield. The void slammed against it, sending shockwaves of pain through his body. Jack, Zara cried out, rushing to his side. She placed her hands on his shoulders, adding her own energy to his defense. One by one, the others joined them, forming a living chain of defiance against the entropy of the void. As their energies merged, Jack felt something extraordinary happening. The quantum threads connecting them all began to resonate, creating a harmony that transcended the boundaries of space and time. With a burst of multicolored light, the combined power surged into the cosmic forge. The ancient device hummed to life, its energies intertwining with their own. Jack met Zora's gaze, an unspoken understanding passing between them. Together, they reached out and grasped the controls of the forge. "For all realities," Jack whispered. "For our future," Zora added. As one, they activated the cosmic forge. A wave of restructuring energy blasted outward, pushing back the void and repairing the fractures in the multiverse. The quantum labyrinth shuddered and began to reconfigure itself, the chaos giving way to a new cosmic order. When the light faded, they found themselves back on Nova Terra, but it was a world transformed. The boundaries between realities had been strengthened, and a new era of cooperation between humans and Zarquin was dawning. Nexus Prime appeared before them, its form now stable and radiant. "You have done well, children of two worlds. The void has been contained, though not destroyed. Your vigilance will be needed in the ages to come." As the entity faded away, Jack turned to Zara, drinking in the sight of her. In her eyes, he saw not just the warrior he had come to admire, but a partner for the journey ahead. "So," he said with a smile, "ready to help me explain all this in my mission report?" Zara laughed, the sound like music to his ears. "I think, my dear Jack, that this is one mission that defies simple reports. But I look forward to facing whatever comes next, together." As they embraced, the twin suns of Nova Terra rose on a new day, one filled with infinite possibilities for two species, once divided, now united in the greatest adventure of all. Quantum horizons. The dawn of a new era broke over Nova Terra, bathing the transformed landscape in a kaleidoscope of colors never before seen by human or Zarquin eyes. Jack and Zara stood atop a crystalline spire that had erupted from the ground during the cosmic restructuring, surveying a world they had helped reshape. "It's beautiful," Jack murmured, his enhanced senses drinking in the quantum harmonies that now permeated every aspect of their merged realities. Zara nodded, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing in sync with the planet's new rhythms. "And terrifying," she added. "We've opened doorways to possibilities beyond imagination." As if in response to her words, a shimmering portal materialized before them. Through it, they could see Earth, but not as Jack remembered it. Towering structures of impossible geometry reached into the sky, while vehicles that seemed to defy physics zipped between them. The forge, Jack realized. It didn't just save our realities, it's accelerating their evolution. Before they could process this revelation, a familiar energy signature washed over them. Nexus Prime appeared, its form now a swirling galaxy in miniature. "Guardians of the cosmic weave," it intoned, "your work has only begun. The void may be contained, but new threats emerge as realities collide and timelines intertwine." Jack felt a familiar thrill of adventure coursing through him. "What do you need us to do?" Nexus Prime's form expanded, encompassing them in a vista of the multiverse. Countless worlds, some familiar, others utterly alien, swirled around them. "You must become the quantum vanguard," the entity explained, "traversing the boundaries between realities, maintaining the delicate balance we've established. Your unique bond, human ingenuity and Zarquin intuition, fused with the power of the Nexus, makes you the ideal protectors of this new cosmic order." Zora's eyes widened with excitement and trepidation. "We'd be leaving everything we've known behind." Jack took her hand, feeling the surge of quantum energy between them. "But think of all we'd discover, the differences we could make across realities." A series of holographic displays materialized around them, showcasing the challenges that lay ahead. Chronotum storms, swirling vortexes of time-displaced energy, threatening to unravel the fabric of causality itself. Dimensional rifts, tears in the cosmic weave, allowing eldritch horrors from beyond known reality to seep through. Paradox engines, malevolent AI constructs from a dystopian future seeking to rewrite history in their image. The entropy cult, fanatics who worship the void, working to undo the new cosmic order and plunge all realities into oblivion. As they absorbed the magnitude of their new role, a sleek vessel of Zarquin biotechnology infused with Terran quantum computing materialized beside them. The Starwaver, Nexus Prime announced. Your chariot through the quantum seas. It will adapt and evolve as you do, growing stronger with each challenge you overcome. Jack and Zara exchanged a look of determination. This was so far beyond the simple scouting mission he'd originally signed up for, but he couldn't imagine a more worthy cause, or a better partner to share it with. There's just one thing, Jack said, turning to Zara with a mischievous glint in his eye. He dropped to one knee, pulling a small object from his pocket, a ring fashioned from a sliver of the cosmic forge itself. Zara of the Zarquin, warrior of Novaterra, and guardian of my heart, he began, his voice thick with emotion. Will you marry me? Not just as my wife, but as my partner in this grand cosmic adventure. Zara's eyes shimmered with joy and unshed tears. Jack Hawthorne, you impossible, wonderful human. Yes, 1,000 times yes, across every reality. As they sealed their engagement with a kiss, the Starweaver hummed to life, responding to the surge of emotion and quantum energy. Nexus Prime's form began to fade, but its voice echoed around them. Go forth, Quantum Vanguard. Let your love be the beacon that guides you through the darkest reaches of the multiverse. Remember, in unity lies the strength to face any challenge. Hand in hand, Jack and Zara boarded their cosmic vessel. The interior shimmed and shifted, adapting to their preferences and needs. At the helm, a three-dimensional star map of the multiverse sprawled before them, teeming with possibilities. Where to first, my love? Zara asked, her fingers intertwining with Jack's as they gripped the controls. Jack grinned, feeling the thrum of adventure in his veins. Why don't we let the quantum currents decide? After all, in this new multiverse, every direction leads to discovery. With a shared laugh of exhilaration, they activated the Starweaver's quantum drive. The ship shimmered and phased, slipping between the very fabric of realities. As Novaterra faded from view, replaced by the swirling majesty of the quantum sea, Jack and Zara knew that this was just the beginning. Their love, forged in the crucible of cosmic conflict, would be tested across dimensions and timelines. But together, as the Quantum Vanguard, they were ready to face whatever wonders and terrors the multiverse had in store. The Starweaver streaked across the quantum horizon, carrying with it the hopes of countless realities and the promise of adventures yet untold. For in this new age of cosmic convergence, the only limit was imagination itself.